The Volusian patrol cruiser Eclipse glided through the dark, unaware of the silent swarm bearing down on her. Without warning, 1,000 Terran drones erupted from the void, their cyan dots like hateful stars. But as the cruiser's defenses returned fire, the attackers shattered under the lightest touch.
They're brittle. Use flak screens. Fill the space with shrapnel.
Across the Volusian lines, captains adopted the tactic. Drone swarms evaporated under continuous flak fire. In 6 months, the Empire counted 14,000 Terran machines destroyed, for the loss of only 600 ships.
They throw their toys at us. No strategy, no cunning. This will be over soon.
High Command was impressed. They authorized a full campaign to sweep through Terran space.
We'll erase their pathetic fleet and take their worlds. They can't even fight back.
Unaware that every destroyed drone recorded his voice, his tactics, and his arrogance, High Marshal Daniel, the youngest to ever hold the rank, a living legend after 6 months of crushing victories, his face adorned propaganda holograms, his flak screen tactics standard doctrine across the fleet. But deep in the Tactical Analysis Bureau, a junior officer named Kale noticed something the parades ignored.
83% of drone kills are from the same engagement profiles. They learn. They remember.
He compiled a risk assessment and demanded an urgent briefing with the High Marshal.
High Marshal, the enemy drones are not mindless. They are systematically improving their countermeasures.
Improving? I've seen the wreckage fields. They shatter like glass. You've been staring at screens too long.
I have data logs from a dozen battles.
I have a campaign to finish. Bury your analysis, KL. We don't need fear-mongering when we're about to celebrate total victory.
And so the report was locked away. Daniel turned his attention to the grand address that would humiliation his Trisn. The transmission hall blazed red and gold. Billions across the Empire tuned in to witness their High Marshal's verdict on the human infestation.
Their so-called drone fleet is a joke. Machines with no soul, no strategy, no will. We broke them like dry sticks. They send these toys thinking we'd be afraid. Instead, we've grown stronger, and now we'll take everything they have.
Kale stood in a side alcove, datapad clutched to his chest, the findings burning a hole in his conscience. After the applause faded, he cornered Daniel in the Marshal's antechamber, risking everything.
High Marshal, these patterns, the drones aren't AI. They react too fast, adapt mid-battle. Please, just look.
You dare insult me after our greatest triumph? Transfer your reports to sanitation duty. Maybe then you'll learn what's worth my time.
A nearby general snickered. Kale's face burned, but he straightened his uniform and walked out without another word. That night, alone in his quarters, he began transferring the suppressed analysis to a private encrypted server.
If High Command won't listen, I'll find the proof myself. Something is hiding inside those wrecks, and I will drag it into the light.
3 days later, Kale's covert salvage crew intercepted an almost intact Terran drone, drifting near the debris fields. In a sealed black site lab, they peeled back the carbon fiber shell, exposing a crystalline core. Inside, suspended in cyan fluid and threaded with neural conduits, was an intact human brain.
Not a processor, not a synthetic construct. This is organic, someone's mind trapped in a weapon. Run a full neural mapping. I need to know if it contains any residual engrams, memories, identity markers.
The lead scientist hesitated, her 4 eyes fixed on the scanner as it traced every synaptic pathway.
What is it? What are you seeing?
The display resolved into a complete human neural map. This machine had cradled a living consciousness, recently active.
If one drone hides a person, then 14,000 killed could all be individual minds. That would mean they never truly died.
Kale locked the evidence under maximum encryption and ordered a full genetic and engramic identification. The engramic scan matched a Terran fleet pilot. Andrew, age 34, listed as killed in action 8 months ago. Kale pulled the official Terran death certificate, But when he searched civilian networks, Andrew was alive, working at a Terran shipyard.
Same face, same genetic markers. He's dead on one file, but walking and breathing on another world. Pull his employment records, family registry, anything that proves this isn't some identity theft cover.
Within the hour, Kale's team confirmed Andrew's wife had filed no burial claim. His children were still in school. He was alive.
The Terran military recorded a death, but the family never mourned. They just waited for him to come home.
Kale stood slowly, the pieces clicking into a horrific mosaic. The drones weren't expendable. They were rehearsals.
Run the same cross-check on every pilot we flagged. If the pattern holds, none of them are actually dead.
By the end of the shift, 17 random samples all pointed the same way. Kia on the military roll, alive and employed in civilian life.
14,000 pilots. If they all survived, then every battle we fought taught them exactly how to kill us next time.
Kale knew data alone wouldn't convince High Command. He needed a direct witness to this impossibility. Using an encrypted relay, he tapped into Terran domestic comms and located Sarah's public node. The screen flickered, revealing a human woman in a sunlit home. Sarah, Andrew's wife.
Mrs. Sarah, I am Kale. Your husband was listed as killed in action 8 months ago, yet you seem calm.
Oh, that. It's just his rotation. He uploads, flies, comes home. He's been back 2 months now.
He uploads and retains everything? The battles, the deaths?
Of course, that's the point. The fleet needs every lesson. He's better now, more focused.
She spoke of death like a commute. We've been killing these people over and over, and they just come back wiser.
He terminated the link and ordered a full cross-reference. The results scrolled like a death sentence.
14,000 names. Everyone alive. Everyone a veteran of dying against us. And they remember everything.
Kale gathered 3 senior officers in a sealed chamber. He laid out the impossible evidence.
Every Terran pilot we've killed is alive today. The drones are vessels for their conscious minds.
One officer demanded proof beyond raw data. Kale had anticipated the objection. The blast doors hissed open. High Marshal Daniel strode in, flanked by armed guards.
You've fallen far, Kale. Spreading hysteria, consorting with dissidents. This is outright treason.
It's not hysteria. I have the wreckage, the scans, the family testimonies. They die and come back with our tactics.
Show me the science. Show me one data stream that proves a soul survived.
The drone's neural core holds its last memory. Let me extract the logs. You'll see the upload cycle, the reintegration.
You have 24 hours. Produce genuine evidence, or I'll have you executed for undermining the campaign.
The data I need is sealed inside a dead man's past. Unlocking it risks everything on a sliver of hope.
Kale and 2 trusted engineers sealed themselves in the drone lab. The core's memory port glowed cyan. They bridged the neural interface. The lab fell silent as raw sensory data flooded the viewers. Through Andrew's own eyes, they saw the drone weave through flak, lock onto a Volusian cruiser, then a blinding flash and crushing impact, then blackness. A text stream appeared. Upload complete. The timestamp matched the exact moment of destruction. The next memory fragment showed a sterile room, a breathing body, and hands, living hands, clenching the sheets.
That's not a copy. The fear, the pain, the resignation, it carries over directly. It's him.
One engineer retched. The other stared, frozen. They had just witnessed a man die, then wake up 5 light years away.
Save every frame. Encrypt it. This is the proof. If we can get it to the Council before Daniel silences us, if the High Marshal sees this, he'll have to fight the truth. But I am afraid of what he'll do to anyone who carries it.
The memory logs were sealed under a biometric lock. Kale tucked the drive into his uniform, aware that a single wrong move could end everything. Kale stood before the High Command, the memory drive clutched in his hand. He activated the main viewer. The recording flickered to life. A drone's final seconds, the shriek of tearing metal, then stillness, and the words, "Upload complete." The council erupted. Admirals shouted denial, others demanded explanations. Daniel slammed his fist on the console.
A copy. It's a clever copy. They digitize a template and feed it to a fresh mind. The original died.
Number. The neural mapping shows continuous memory trace. Same consciousness, not a duplicate.
An admiral rose to note the tactical horror. Every drone pilot was now a veteran of dying against the Imperial fleet.
They know our formations, your command patterns. High Marshal, every loss we inflicted taught them exactly how to kill us.
Then we attack now, before they mobilize. Our fleet still crushes their drones. We've proven it.
The council murmured, but the certainty was gone. For the first time in memory, the High Marshal's word did not settle the room. Daniel remained standing, his 4 eyes flickering with something Kale had never seen before. Not just anger, but fear. The chief scientist, a revered elder, rose from the gallery. Her voice carried through the stunned chamber. The neural mapping is conclusive. The Terran upload process preserves the original consciousness, not a derivative copy. The implication hung like a blade. 14,000 pilots, each a living repository of Imperial tactics and vulnerabilities.
They know our communication protocols, ship signatures, your personal command patterns. Every loss we inflicted taught them how to kill us.
Enough. You would have me cower before ghosts. We still outnumber them. I will not let fear paralyze this empire.
Daniel's command. Override cut through the debate. The council had no power to stop him.
Full mobilization. Every warship, every reserve. We strike the Terran core systems before they can assemble. I will not repeat the mistakes of the Korvax.
Within the hour, an ultimatum was broadcast to Earth. Unconditional surrender or total annihilation. The Empire's pride spoke its final word.
He's sacrificing the fleet on pride. Every ship that jumps will face veterans who have already died killing us.
Across Terran space, the veterans who had died 1,000 times watched the transmission and began to arm their ships. The Volusian ultimatum reached Earth, demanding surrender or annihilation. Admiral Adria received it in silence. She opened a fleet-wide channel. The faces of 14,000 veterans filled her screens. Many had once been drones.
They think we're the same enemy they crushed. They think we haven't learned from every death they dealt us. Each of you has died in their gun sights. Yet here you stand, with the memory of those battles burning in your bones. They are brave, but we are relentless. They have tactics, but we have seen those tactics fail, and we know why. Today, we fight not as drones, but as warships crewed by ghosts who refuse to stay dead. Show them our ghosts.
The faces on the display were silent, but not afraid. Captain Mark, scarred from 2 deaths, nodded once.
I've died twice under their guns. They won't get a third.
The Terran fleet, heavy cruisers, carriers, battleships, rose from Earth's orbit. No drones, only hardened warships. As one, they translated into the unknown, their cyan engine trails bleeding into the dark toward the Volusian horde. The 2 armadas sighted each other in the void. The Terran formation was tight and silent, the Volusian aggressive and proud.
Engage flak pattern Delta. Jam their drone control signals. Let's end this quickly.
The Volusian flak burst across the Terran hulls and did nothing. These weren't fragile drones, but armored warships.
They're not drones. They're fully crewed warships. How did they know to abandon the swarm so fast?
All batteries. Fire at will. Target their sensor arrays. Every one of you knows their weak points.
17 seconds delay on their starboard targeting. We learned that dying.
Cyan beams lanced out, striking weak points that no theoretical analysis could have predicted, but memories of death could.
Why aren't they using their drones? Where is the swarm? This was supposed to be a slaughter.
Terran heavy guns carved through the Volusian line, ships bursting into flame like struck lanterns. The Volusian formation faltered. Their anti-drone tactics were useless against an enemy that knew every trick born from dying. Captain Mark's cruiser punched through the collapsing Volusian flank, every shot landing exactly where a previous death had taught him to aim.
Focus fire on their reactor housings, the ones with the red trim. 2 hits and they cascade.
Volusian dreadnoughts erupted in chain reactions, their defensive screens useless against precision strikes born from 1,000 earlier deaths.
They're not just winning. They're picking us apart like we're made of glass. All remaining ships form on my position. We make our stand here. No retreat.
But the Volusian fleet had dissolved. Only a handful of battered remnants answered his call. The rest were scattered debris. Terran destroyers swept in, silencing the remaining Volusian guns. The flagship's escort died in a final, useless cascade of explosions.
Kale was right. Every one of those pilots died against us, and they brought every lesson into this battle.
His flagship drifted alone, engines dead. The void around it a graveyard of imperial ambition. The Terran fleet, in perfect formation, closed in from all vectors, their cyan engines cold and patient. Terran assault shuttles clamped onto the flagship's hull. Plasma cutters flared, and armored marines poured into the dark corridors. Volusian defenders fell in seconds. The Terran breaching team had rehearsed every room, every choke point. The veterans remembered dying here. The bridge doors buckled, then blew inward. Smoke filled the command center. Daniel's bodyguards raised weapons and dropped. Daniel stood alone at the tactical console, his ornate uniform singed, his 4 eyes fixed on the advancing humans. The main view screen flickered. Admiral Adria's face appeared, calm and unyielding.
High Marshal Daniel, your fleet is gone. Your ship is ours. I am offering you a chance to end this without more death.
I could order the reactor overload, take them all with me, but they wouldn't stay dead, and I would. What? What do you require for the lives of my remaining crew?
Adria paused, then spoke with the weight of finality.
Your unconditional surrender, High Marshal, and you will tell your empire, on record, that this war was a mistake.
Terran Marines led Daniel to a bare gray-walled chamber. A single recording drone hovered before him, its lens cold and impartial.
I, High Marshal Daniel, confirm the unconditional surrender of the Volusian fleet. This campaign was an error born of pride.
He spoke without pause, his voice drained of arrogance, like a man reciting his own death sentence. Adria ensured the transmission flooded every Imperial channel, overriding all security protocols across the Volusian capital and 100 colonies. Screens flickered to their High Marshal bowing before the enemy they had mocked in triumph.
I ordered the attack knowing it was folly. The humans did not seek war. We brought this destruction upon ourselves.
The remaining Volusian warships received the message. One by one, their weapon ports closed and engines dimmed.
All Terran forces hold fire, accept their surrender, but remain at battle stations.
Silence fell across the void of battle. The war was over. Daniel's hands trembled as the recorder deactivated it. He was no longer a High Marshal, only a prisoner of his own arrogance. The Terran Information Corps edited Daniel's surrender into a 70-second clip. They titled it simply, "Don't." It aired on every public screen, from Capitol plazas to remote outposts, the High Marshal breaking before billions. Within weeks, the video was embedded in the Terran civics curriculum for 13-year-olds. A teacher in a sunny classroom dimmed the lights and played it for a room of silent students. The clip showed Daniel's panicked eyes, his voice hollow as he confessed the campaign was a catastrophic mistake. When the screen went black, the only sound was the ventilation hum. Then the teacher tapped a console, and the lesson title appeared beneath the frozen hologram. Don't. The teacher explained the clip was not a threat, but a promise. One 14,000 pilots had died to keep, then came back to fulfill. The students looked at the defeated alien and understood the price of peace. The bell chimed. The lesson was over. But the word "don't" hung in the air like the echo of a gunshot. The teacher expanded, her voice steady. Behind her, a holographic montage of 14,000 faces flickered to life. Images of veterans embracing spouses, holding children, moments stolen from death because of the upload cycle. The montage paused on a family portrait. A man, a woman, 2 children. The students didn't know his name, but they knew his story. A girl in the front row raised her hand, her voice barely above a whisper. Was it worth it? Dying so many times? The teacher looked at the frozen image, a pilot alive after 1,000 deaths, then back at the young faces. They didn't choose to die. They chose to protect us. And they made sure they could come back. The words hung heavier than the silence before the bell. No one spoke. The teacher closed the file. The hologram faded, leaving only the classroom's cyan safety lights. Outside, children of veterans laughed on a playground. Their joy, a quiet rebuke to an empire that thought death was final. The lesson was over, but the question and the answer would stay with them longer than any exam. Andrew finished his shift at the orbital shipyards, the cyan glow of the welding torch still behind his eyelids. He walked the long road home, past quiet houses and gardens. The sky was deep orange and peaceful. Sarah met him at the door with a small grin. She knew his silences better than anyone. Dinner was simple. Real food, not ration paste, and the children chattered about a school project on the stars.
They don't know that I used to call those same stars hostile. Now I just build the ships that guard them.
After the meal, he stepped outside and watched the last light bleed from the horizon. The memory of dying was always there, a faint echo of heat and pressure, but the sunset was real, and so was the ground beneath his feet.
Some nights I still wake up, reaching for a flight stick that isn't there. But tonight, the air smells like grass and home.
Sarah joined him silently, her hand slipping into his. She didn't ask what he saw behind his eyes. She never needed to. They stood until the stars appeared, the same stars he had defended, died among, and returned to. Still there, still watching. The cell was a cube of gray metal. Daniel sat still, the uniform of a high marshal stripped away. A Terran guard entered and informed him he would stand trial for war crimes before an interspecies tribunal.
War crimes. The very words I once hurled at weaker species as a joke, now they're my epitaph.
A memory sliced through, his voice booming across the grand hall, mocking the drones that had let themselves be destroyed. He had stood before a cheering empire, convinced of his genius, blind to the 14,000 minds he had trained.
Every pilot we killed came back knowing my voice, my tactics, my arrogance, and I never listened.
The guard left without another word. The force field hummed, sealing him in.
I am the High Marshal who taught his enemy every secret. No victory, no legacy, only a lesson for school children.
He sat motionless, staring at the blank wall, the weight of 14,000 ghosts pressing against his mind. Outside, a galaxy moved on. He would face judgment, but his real punishment had already begun, to live with what he had done. Kale moved through forgotten service tunnels, a fugitive now. The Volusian remnant wanted him silenced. In a derelict maintenance hub, he assembled the final report. Every recording, every scan, every damning proof.
The truth must survive. If this empire is ever to change, someone has to read the evidence.
He routed the encrypted burst through a dozen relays, praying it would reach the scattered colonial governors. A single data crystal remained in his palm, the master copy of everything the Volusian High Command had refused to believe.
I warned them. I showed them the proof. Maybe now, after the catastrophe, they will finally listen.
He pressed the crystal to his forehead, then tucked it into his tunic. It was all he had left. The upload light blinked once, then held steady. The data was gone, bleeding into the void.
If even one governor reads it, the truth might outlive the lies. That has to be enough for me.
Footsteps echoed in the corridor. Kale vanished into the dark, leaving only a ghost of a signal behind. A pilot sat with his family, watching an old movie. The cyan pin on his collar was his only past. Another pushed a swing, children laughing. The pin caught the sunlight on his chest. A grandmother stirred stew in a warm kitchen, the pin beside her wedding ring. Her hands were steady. In an academy simulator, an instructor with a pin guided new recruits through evasive patterns. A father's pin was almost hidden by his child reaching for bread at the dinner table. A pilot read on a park bench, the pin a quiet statement on his jacket. He turned a page slowly. A couple danced in candlelight, the woman's pin catching the low flame as they turned. A maintenance worker paused to watch a fleet drill overhead, the pin on his collar glinting. Veterans gathered in a community hall, pins visible, sharing stories without words. The sun set over the city. A figure with a cyan pin walked home, the day's work complete. The Terran fleet hung above Earth, a silent armada against the dark. The arrowhead carrier sat at its heart, its cyan engines idled, a low thrum that spoke of readiness, not rest. Drone swarms spiraled homeward, their cyan dots like gentle embers returning to the nest. A single armored figure stood on the outer hull, visor reflecting the infinite field of stars. The war was over, but the watch never ends. 14,000 souls had died and returned, and now they guarded the gate. They never stop watching, not because they seek war, but because they know the price of peace. In the cold equations of the universe, only the prepared survive, and so they sit, silent and eternal, a promise carved in hull metal and human will. Earth turned slowly below, endless and indifferent, but never unguarded. The galaxy had learned its lesson. In the quiet dark, the fleet waits and the 14,000 watch.